Michael stood outside a Brooklyn cafe, staring through the glass door. Inside, his wife Laura and his best friend David sat across from each other by the window. David gently held her hands, his lips moving as he spoke. Laura laughed, that same laugh that had made Michael fall in love with her 8 years ago. Sparkle's dear friends, before we continue, please tell us in the comments what part of the world you're joining us from. I wish you a pleasant and captivating listening to this story. Sparkles. Michael raised his phone and snapped a few pictures. Strangely, his hand didn't shake. But his heart pounded like he had just finished a marathon. On the street, the chilly October wind stung his face. Only half an hour earlier, he had been rushing to meet his colleague Dan to discuss a presentation for tomorrow, reminding himself to stop by the store for groceries. Ordinary thoughts of an ordinary man. Now, his world had shifted. Or rather, it hadn't shifted at all, it had simply settled into its true place. 8 months earlier, Laura had begun to change. Not suddenly, but gradually. A new haircut, a new perfume, lingerie he had never seen before. She said she wanted to reinvent herself, to feel more interesting. Michael had been happy for her. But then came the late nights at work, the sudden flood of girls' nights out that used to happen once a month but now filled every weekend. Her phone flipped face down whenever he walked into the room. Long conversations in the bathroom, masked by the sound of running water. Michael noticed everything but forced the doubts aside. Infidelity. Impossible. They were a family. They had a mortgage, plans for the future, and even their cat, Whiskers. The first warning bell rang in February. David, his closest friend since college, suddenly stopped joining their usual get-togethers. First it was a date, then his mother was sick, then too much work. David's acting kind of strange, Michael mentioned over dinner one night. In what way? Laura asked without looking up from her salad. I don't know, distant. We used to hang out every week, now he barely picks up the phone. Maybe he finally has a girlfriend. It's about time, he's 35 already, Laura replied, almost too quickly. At the time, it sounded logical. But a month later, David casually told Michael he was renting a 2-bedroom apartment for his mom, closer to the city. Show it to me sometime, Michael had said. Of course, once she's settled in, David replied. But somehow, David's mother never seemed to move in. Each time Michael suggested a visit, there was an excuse. She wasn't feeling well, she was traveling, she was at the doctor's. Meanwhile, Laura was out of the house more and more. The gym, shopping, catching up with friends. She came home late, exhausted, but glowing from within. You look amazing, Michael told her one night when she returned. Really? She turned to the mirror, touching her hair. Must be the workouts. But Michael knew better. It wasn't the gym. It was something else. Someone else. In May, Michael's doubts hardened into certainty. One evening, Laura left her phone on the kitchen table while she went to shower. The screen lit up with a message. It was from David. I miss you. Can't wait to see you. Michael froze. His chest tightened as if ice had filled his lungs. He knew the passcode, Laura had never hidden it from him, but he didn't unlock it. He didn't need the sordid details. Instead, he silently accepted what his heart already knew. From that day on, he became an observer. A detective in his own marriage, collecting pieces of a puzzle he had no intention of showing anyone. The new ring on her finger, was it from David? The new shade of lipstick, one she never wore for him. The way her face lit up when she read certain texts. And, of course, their bedroom had grown cold. Their intimacy had vanished, replaced with excuses, headaches, exhaustion, endless stress at work. Maybe you should see a doctor, Michael suggested gently. No, it's fine. Just too much pressure at the office, she replied, brushing him off. By summer, Laura announced she was taking a 2-week vacation to visit her mother in Florida. Let's go together, Michael offered. Why? You'll be bored. I need time with Mom, to help around the house, to talk. He didn't push. But a week later, he ran into Laura's mother at a grocery store in Brooklyn. "How's Laura doing?" he asked casually. Her mother looked surprised. "Fine, I suppose. I haven't seen her in weeks. She said she was busy at home." That night, when Laura called, her lie cut sharper than glass. "How's Florida?" Michael asked. "Oh, exhausting. I've been in the garden all day. Mom says hi," Laura said smoothly. Michael didn't confront her. He simply opened a beer, sat at the kitchen table with whiskers curled on his lap, and wondered when exactly his marriage had died. Why was he silent? Cowardice? Fear of shattering the familiar life he clung to? Or some foolish hope that things might magically fix themselves? By August, David was calling more often, his voice overly cheerful, eager to grab a beer like the old days. "Come on, man, don't ghost me. Let's hang out," he urged. Michael always declined. He couldn't look his friend in the eye. He heard guilt in David's voice, maybe even pity. And pity was worse than the truth. In September, Laura's nerves betrayed her. She misplaced keys, forgot to turn off the kettle, confused days of the week. And suddenly, she began talking about the future. "What if we sell this apartment and buy something bigger?" she asked one morning over breakfast. "Why? This place is fine for us." "Who knows? Maybe it's time for kids," she said, too casually. Michael almost choked on his coffee. Children. They hadn't spoken about that in years. Not since money, time, and desire had all evaporated. He studied her carefully. Laura wasn't dreaming about children with him. She was planning her future, without him. 3 weeks later, David disappeared entirely. No calls, no texts. And Laura became distracted, jumpy, on edge. "What's wrong with you lately?" Michael asked. "Nothing. Just work stress." "What stress? You're an accountant, there's no year-end reporting this time of year." "You don't understand my job," she snapped. And then came last Monday. Laura left in the morning like usual, but at night she called to say she'd be late. "Finishing the annual report," she lied. Michael didn't wait. He drove to David's building, the one with the apartment for his mom. David's car wasn't outside, but the lights were on in Unit 4B. Music drifted into the hallway. And above it all, laughter, Laura's laugh. Michael stayed until 10:30. He watched them walk out together, not touching, careful, but their stolen glances and lingering goodbye said everything. That night, Laura came home glowing. "Report's done," she said, smiling as if nothing had happened. The next day over dinner, Michael asked casually, "So, how's David's mom's apartment?" Laura blinked. "What apartment?" "The one he rented for her. Didn't he tell you?" "Oh, right. I don't know. We haven't spoken in a while," she lied, smoothly, without a flicker of shame. Michael said nothing. But inside, something shifted. His silence was ending. That morning, Laura announced she'd be meeting her friends, Maggie and Olivia. "With who?" Michael asked quietly. "Maggie and Olivia. Haven't seen them in ages," she said with a smile. Michael nodded. He already knew Maggie was in Mexico on vacation. He had seen her Instagram photos. Olivia was at home with a sick child. Laura's lie slid effortlessly from her lips. He didn't argue. He just let it settle. That afternoon, Michael went to the cafe on Lexington Avenue, where he was supposed to meet his colleague Dan. At the last moment, Dan cancelled. Michael stood by the door, ready to leave, and then froze. Through the glass, he saw them. Laura and David. Sitting close, hands intertwined, laughing. The laugh that once belonged to him, now given away. Michael pulled out his phone. He snapped a few photos. His pulse was calm, almost steady. But his heart, it raced like wildfire. That night, at dinner, Laura chatted cheerfully, spinning stories about shopping trips and Maggie's weight gain, Olivia's marriage troubles. She spoke smoothly, as though rehearsed. Michael listened. He finished his soup. And then he placed his phone on the table, screen up. Funny thing happened today, he said, his voice quiet. I went to meet Dan at the cafe on Lexington. He cancelled last minute. But I was already there. And through the glass, I saw some familiar faces. Laura froze, spoon midair. Michael unlocked his phone, opened the photos, and slid it toward her. Do you really think I don't know about you too? Her face drained of color. Michael, it's not what you think. What do I think? His voice was cold, sharp. That my wife has been sleeping with my best friend for 8 months. That the apartment for his mom was actually your love nest. That every time you smiled at your phone, it was him. Tears welled up. She shook her head, words tumbling. I wanted to tell you, I didn't know how. When? A year from now. After you divorced me and split everything. Michael stood, pushing back his chair. You know what hurts the most? Not that you betrayed me. Not even that David betrayed me. What hurts is that I spent 8 months pretending not to see it. Hoping you'd stop. Hoping you'd come back to me. Laura covered her face with her hands. You knew. All this time. Of course, I knew. Maggie in Mexico. Olivia on sick leave. Your mom telling me she hadn't seen you in weeks. The new perfume. The lingerie. The way you glowed after being with him. I knew. I'm sorry. She whispered. Sorry for what? For falling out of love. Or for lying straight to my face for 8 months. Michael went to the bedroom, pulled a duffel bag from the closet, and began packing. Laura followed, crying harder. What are you doing? Leaving. Congratulations. You and David can play house together now. Please, wait. Let's talk. Talk about what? About how you both destroyed my trust. About how he called me like nothing was wrong, pretending to be my friend. He zipped the bag. It's too late, Laura. But I love you, she pleaded. Michael turned, meeting her eyes. No. You love him. And me. You just pity me. But 8 months of betrayal isn't pity. It's choice. And you chose him. Every single day. She sobbed, leaning against the doorframe. What if you had told me right away that you knew? Michael paused, considering. You wouldn't have stopped. You would have just been more careful. Or made your choice faster. He slung the bag over his shoulder. I don't want a wife who stays out of guilt. I want someone who actually loves me. He brushed past her into the hallway. Laura followed, desperate. What about the apartment? What about us? Live here for now. I'll figure something out. He pulled on his jacket. And tell David not to call. I don't need his apologies. Michael. It's over. He closed the door behind him. The sound echoed like a final chapter. Michael sat in his car, staring at the steering wheel. 8 years of marriage, gone. 18 years of friendship, erased in one night. Strangely, he didn't feel pain. He felt empty, hollow. Because the real pain had already happened, every day of those silent 8 months. Tonight was just the release. His phone buzzed. A message from David, we need to talk. Michael deleted it. Deleted his number. Deleted Laura's photos. Evidence was no longer needed. The story was over. Red heart #thumbs up sign. Thank you for listening until the end. What do you think about this? We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. Thank you, and take care of yourselves.